It's 7:09 on Saturday, May 31st, the last day of May. And this is Salim Muwakkil on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. You can also catch us streaming loud and clear by using iHeart apps on your smartphones or tablets, or by directing your browser to WVON.com. Whichever way you got here, you've made it to the place where we sift the news of the world, seeking some necessary context. Now, this is America's most astute radio audience, so all callers are special guests. And respectful conversation is important. And of course, we need your help for that. So, family, get ready to flex those muscles in your mind, because if it's 7 on Saturday, you know it's time for the Salim Muwakkil Show live from WVON's Xfinity Studios. A number of important issues flashed through the media this week, and prominent among them, as far as I'm concerned, is this continued discussion and debate about the monumental essay on reparations penned by Brother Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's truly amazing how much traction that essay is getting, and I think it really offers a unique opportunity that doesn't come around too often, you know? It's a unique opportunity to educate a large swath of Americans on issues about which they may be completely unaware. And I'm not just talking about non-black Americans here. Many black folks are unsure of the enormous toll taken by slavery's legacy. Many of us still construe the demand for reparations as some kind of solicitation for white charity, or some kind of verification of our own inability to prosper without the help of white people. Of course, reparations is none of that. It is a simple recognition that the nation was constructed on the unjust enrichment derived from the enslaved labor and the chattelization of kidnapped Africans and their progeny. And because of that, white America's population inherited purloined profit, and African Americans inherited compound poverty. The wealth disparities put in play by this race-based dynamic have multiplied multiple times, and thus we have the wide racial gaps that we see today. White people have 20 times more wealth than black people. An incredible gap. There need not be a mystery, really, as to the derivation of that gap. All you have to do is trace the trajectory of deprivation back to peculiar institution. You know, and then there are some of us who insist that white America will never fess up to the ill that they've done, and would never do the necessary reckoning that would facilitate any kind of compensatory programs, any kind of compensatory policies. That they'll never do it. You can tell, they're getting ready to phase out affirmative action, which is a pale euphemism for reparations. Well, I beg to differ with that argument. Now, I'm not predicting that white folks will come to this conclusion through any kind of moral or spiritual awakening. Incidentally, those of you calling, hold on. There's a whole lot of stuff happening in the VON studios, and the engineer will be right with you. As I say, I'm not predicting that white folks, are going to have an epiphany or anything like that. I just believe that the reasons will be much more prosaic and utilitarian, that the reasons for them to change on this. I think that the stewards of this nation, the people who operate the permanent government that guide the national infrastructure, increasingly they'll understand just how this unattended legacy of slavery cripples the country's competitive potential. It incapacitates large swatches of the labor force, and highly educated workers will become the most valuable competitive asset in our information age future. So the more highly educated workers you have in your nation as a part of your citizenry, the better position you are to compete in this world economy, in this increasingly competitive, globalized economy. The folly of reproducing these race-based social disparities that are easily traced to slavery's legacy, and therefore, very susceptible to compensatory programs, and that legacy, those disparities, also dull America's competitive edge, and it'll be so obvious. It'll be too obvious to ignore or to deny that is that's what's doing it. That's the reason. We've managed to muddle through now because we have a scavenger prison industrial complex that absorbs our social dysfunction and transmutes it into corporate profits, or it tries to do that. It makes this population inert. It siphons these folks from the inner cities primarily, from other urban areas, and it siphons them into the criminal justice system, where they become inert, essentially. But they're still productive for capitalism. But this kind of scavenger capitalism, this kind of prison state policies is a system that produces diminishing returns. Already we incarcerate more people than any other nation. So in that regard, reparations would not just be redress for the lengthening legacy of slavery. It could be the salvation of America. That's the way to look at it, really. If the black community is repaired sufficiently, just think how productive this community will be. We're celebrating right now the 93rd anniversary of the 1921 riots in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, this became a thriving community despite all of the opposition that could be mustered from its white neighbors. It was a riot in Tulsa that destroyed the city's black community. It was called Greenwood. The community was called Greenwood, but it had grown so prosperous that it was widely known as the Negro Wall Street. We now refer to the Black Wall Street. But it was, an indication of how black people, if allowed to, could simply prosper, can do what other folks do if they have the opportunity and the barriers are dropped. Oklahoma was a pretty open territory for a while. And a lot of black people flocked to that area in the 1900s. And then the oil boom in Oklahoma in 1910, it was a very thriving community. Black people, although they couldn't participate in the other economy, and part of the reason why Greenwood was so prosperous is because it was an artificially segregated community. Black people really had no choice but to do business with themselves. But we had the wherewithal to create those businesses, and it was, So this idea of reparations, this idea that if black people are given the opportunity, they can be enormously productive. Just think how that would increase and boost the competitiveness of this country. At a time when it is losing competitive, when it is losing share in the global economy. It's losing capital share and whatnot in the global economy. So it would be a savior for America. That's I think one way to sell it. I think that's what other people would realize eventually. Did any of you see Edward Snowden being interviewed on NBC's Brian Williams show, or by Brian Williams? It wasn't his show. What did you think of that, if you saw it? Now, I could see how a lot of, how he could come across really as kind of a snotty-nosed white boy raised on white privilege. He kind of had that aura about him. And knowing how so many of you guys feel about that kind of thing. Like, this guy Steve, my caller Steve, who though he's often, a pretty liberal guy, he's automatically assumed to be conservative just because of his style of speaking. So I understand how the image can play such a large part on how a message is received. But Snowden seemed very credible to me. And in fact, this issue is beyond Snowden. It's what he represents. And he seems to be, someone who acted out of a sense of mission. And that's often how you get these very significant whistleblowers. They have a sense of mission. You can't understand it, why they do it. And so you manufacture reasons that fit your stereotypes. Now, he was living an enviable life in Hawaii. As he has said, high school dropout with a very, very generous salary, living in Hawaii, of all places, a kind of a tropical paradise. And, he kind of had the world on a string. So for him to give that up meant that he had some alternative values that were stronger. And, there are some people who are eccentric like that. He seems to be one of those kind of cats. What do you think? Did you see it, and what do you think? The exit of Veterans Administration Secretary Eric Shinseki is a very ironic exit, He was the guy who warned that the invasion of Iraq would cost at least 200,000 troops. And that was an estimate which contrasted wildly with those of the Bush administration. And those estimates lost him his job. He turned out to be right, ultimately, and the veteran backlog is in many ways the result of the Bushites' miscalculation of how many were going to be needed in Iraq. And so many had been injured and came back with these serious injuries that it overwhelmed the VA. And so that's one of the reasons for these horror stories we're hearing. It's ironic that the man who really should be seen as a hero, as someone, even a whistleblower in a manner of speaking. It's ironic that he should get dismissed for his troubles. Well, what's on your mind? Our number 773-591-1690. Let's go to the phone. Steve, good evening. How you doing, brother?
Hey, how you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah, well, remember we talked about the reparations part about when I was saying how people was calling in against it.
Yes.
And I was listening to Perry's show. This was I think maybe Wednesday or Tuesday, and she was talking about the $15 minimum wage. Now, once again, so when you had blacks calling in talking about $15 is too much. Now, I want to know, do these same corporations have that same kind of mercy when they take these people pensions? Do these corporations have the same kind of mercy when they don't pay taxes, and then our taxes go up and we have to foot pay tab, and our programs be cut, or our deductions on our taxes be taken away from us? Do these corporations care anything about that? But, I don't understand. I don't understand how people, especially black people, could be against having a livable wage, but yet, Salim, these same people be the ones that don't want the people on the link card, or had a Section 8, or had a WIC program. Which one is it? I don't get it. If it kept up with inflation, it'd be $20 to $22 an hour.
Yes, sir.
I don't understand how people couldn't be against dealing with today's economy and dealing how these corporations are just breaking.
Well, I got you, Steve. But let me just play the devil's advocate role here for a minute. I know a brother who has a bookstore in Chicago. One of I think just 2 bookstores left in the city, and bookstores are not doing well anywhere these days because of Amazon and all of that digital stuff. But in the black community, man, because bookstores have never really been that popular in the black community. We're not really known for reading. There are there've been periods when bookstores have been profit producers for bookstore owners, but that's a very rare situation. And so these guys have to hire people at pretty low wages because they really not making that much money. And so this brother was saying, man, if the minimum wage goes up to $11, this was the sum he was talking about. It would it would put him out of business. If he had to pay somebody, he could do it. He would if he was the only employee, he could do it. But that's not a feasible scenario. So in that case, a lot of black small business owners feel that it would price them out of the market. I mean, you see that some of them might have had that objection. You do understand that, right?
Right. I understand that, but Salim, what about when the taxes go up and the small businesses are going to have to keep up with the taxes when they go up? Mm-hmm. See, the point I'm making is we're going to have to come to at a point where we can't stop progress, and because I'm not saying that it's not going to be some collateral damage in the process. I think anything that becomes that prospers has some kind of collateral damage, but at the same time, we can't we can't end up not having food stamps or those kind of programs, right? Eventually,
right.
But then they still paying people these low wages at the same time. They're not paying taxes at all. See, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, right. Now you got a point there. You got a point there, brother. Much has to be done to equalize the burden.
Exactly, and if they decide to take people's pension, there's no penalty now. Nobody go to jail. So I mean, it's like there's nothing protected. But at the same time, all I'm saying is basically, Salim, that if laws can be passed for a livable wage, we might as well go for it because our money, Social Security, 401ks, pensions, ain't none of that protected. You know what I'm saying? So It's just kind of like you got to live. You got to make a kind of livable wage now in order to live because the money you're putting away ain't even protected, ain't even secure no more.
You're right about that, my brother. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's we're at a pretty serious crisis right now, a crisis of capitalism. And I think a lot of people are beginning to respond to it with certain kinds of alternatives. We see what happened in Greece, where these left parties won the election and may gain control of the government. Although there's been also a rightward turn in many European countries as well, and very similar to the kind of Tea Party activity we see here, the populist right wing thing, and that's because of these wealth disparities, these increasing wealth disparities that capitalism is generating. This guy Thomas Piketty, who wrote Capital in the 21st Century, made that very clear in his book, man, that's the inherent nature of capitalism is to produce inequality.
Right. And one more thing, and just like, like people think it's okay, like one person called in and talked about, you can't compare CEO salaries to worker salaries. Yeah, that's true. But when you sacrifice not giving 20,000 workers no raises in order to give the CEO an extra $5 million, now he's taking home $30 million for one person, that ain't fair either.
That ain't fair, my brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, Steve. That certainly isn't fair. And the ratio of CEO to workers, to the average worker's salary in this country is higher than anywhere else in the industrial world, by orders of magnitude. Back to the phones. Mr. Wells, hey, brother. Salam alaikum.
Alaikum salam. How you doing, Brother Salim?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right.
Hey, man, couldn't disagree with you more.
Okay.
Capitalism is not the problem.
Okay.
It's the ethics or the lack thereof with capitalism that causes corruption and criminality. Nothing wrong with capitalism.
Well,
It's the way that it's
that is
practiced.
true. There are problems with ethics as well. But
Most definitely.
according to many theorists, there is something wrong with capitalism.
Most definitely.
Capitalism is a powerful generator of wealth, but it is also a generator of inequality.
Well, no, because of the ethics and the
No,
decision making.
brother. Check. Just do a little bit
Celine,
more. Just
Celine,
do a little
look,
bit
look,
more
look.
reading, brother. That's all I ask of you.
No,
A
what
little
I'm
more
saying is
theoretical reading, not the political kind of.
No, it's not political. It's just the fact about people go to jail with capitalism when they break the law.
Yes, sir. Okay,
And
brother.
folks didn't break law. Well, a couple of quick things here about the Clippers sale. Shinseki is not a hero. You would have to say that Colin Powell is a hero. Like, I gave you all this warning, and I was still on the wrong team against humanity. Shinseki is not a hero. Okay,
I didn't say he was a hero. I just said that he forecast the Iraq war.
and Colin Powell did the same thing too. If you break it, you bought it.
Colin Powell was, he did some admirable things, but he also did some very despicable things, like when he did that cartoon show at the UN. So
Okay, well,
you can balance it off. And Shinseki did some cartoonish things as well. So yeah.
Well, the whole thing is,
if you're an employee of the American Empire, brother, you can't help but do some despicable things.
But see, but this is not the American Empire. As long as we keep saying that,
All right, brother.
you're making this a more purpose. But
All
in
right, go
closing,
ahead. So
wait,
what were you gonna say, man?
about Steve Ballmer? Now,
Yes, sir.
the African Americans agitated this conversation, and this fella is going to be maybe more than likely the new owner of the LA Clippers. Now, I just went and looked at his campaign contributions. This guy has contributed over $340,000 to the political process, and he plays both sides of the aisle, just like somebody who deals with the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, creating this condition, and then saying I'm the hero of it. And he has given some money to your gentleman on the reparations movement. He gave money to John Conyers, but as well he gave money to Mitch McConnell, Orrin Hatch, Al Inspector, to some of the Republicans that black people definitely cannot stand. People need to know this. So all this agitation with LeBron James, Magic Johnson, and this guy comes out of technology. So what we have actually accomplished with all this black buffoonery, you will put somebody over a team, a major franchise, and we have reset in 90 days' time everything that Edward Snowden had unveiled. Now you got
and
somebody.
not only that, but we provided Donald Sterling with an enormous profit. Man, he made a whole
And
lot
his
of money.
wife. And his wife.
$1.7 billion of profit that
Wait
cat
a
is
minute.
getting.
And Salim, this is the second time Magic Johnson has been involved in a white couple's divorce to make the white woman a billionaire, just like the divorcing spouse. When he bought the Dodgers,
What was the other time?
when he bought the Dodgers, that was caught up in divorce court. The Dodgers are overpriced by $1.5 billion. That woman ended up getting $1 billion in that divorce because of the sale of the Dodgers. And the Dodgers' sale was like $2.27 billion. And the Dodgers had...
And how was Magic involved in that?
Who owns the LA Dodgers now?
Okay.
Who owns the LA Dodgers?
I don't know
He
who.
does.
Okay.
And Magic Johnson, he led the investment team to buy the Dodgers for like $2.27 billion. Now here we got another situation where he's wrapped up in an argument with the spouse who's saying she's leaving her husband. She's selling the team for $2 billion, and Sterling is saying, "I am suing the NBA for $1 billion." Don't tell me Mr. Sterling didn't agree to hoodwink the nation for $3 billion, and Negroes are the ones leading the charge. That is utterly crazy. They just say apologize and keep it moving.
Couldn't you say it's unintended consequences? Couldn't you
No,
describe
them
it
Negroes.
as that?
No, them Negroes read the white man's script, and what they've done, they have accomplished enriching two people.
How did they read the white? Explain how they read the white man's script. What did that script say?
Look, LeBron and Magic have said for a while they want to be billionaires. Billionaires only let you get into that club. You don't work your way into that club.
No, but I'm saying you said Negroes did something that they followed the white man's script. I just want to get some clarity on what you mean by that.
because they tried to make this a moral argument, and we see it as more fiscal, and then they have been allowed to reset the national surveillance atmosphere.
You mean by being angry at him talking about black people with that released tape, we played the wrong move? You're saying we shouldn't have gotten angry about that?
I said that 3-4 weeks ago.
No, but I mean, okay, that's what you're saying then, right?
Oh, look at the outcome, Salim. Who wanted
brother, what, Mr. Wells? I'm not asking about a follow up. What the question implicates. I'm simply asking a yes or no on these particular things. You're trying to take it to some implications. All I'm asking is, are you saying that black people should not have been upset when that tape came out about him talking with his girlfriend?
No, but see, you can't see now, Salim. You being too simplistic and you being immature.
How should I be more complex?
Well, look at the outcome, Salim. Come on now.
Again, man, you're going straight to the out. Okay, man. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it, Mr. Wells. Maybe it's not possible. Thank you, bro. Appreciate it. All right, let's go to Randy. Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Fine, my brother. How are you?
I'm all right.
Okay. Your family's doing well?
Yes, they are.
Good. I'm enjoying the discussion. I just wanted to say quickly, I just want to kind of extend my condolences and sympathies to Dr. Maya Angelou's family. Mm-hmm. She was a tremendous poet, writer, activist and stuff. Very creative woman. She kind of reminded me of my mother-in-law, who was also from Arkansas, who made her transition a little over 3.5 years ago. And so I'm just thinking about Dr. Maya Angelou and her contributions and the things that she done in terms of trying to empower our people and basically just the things she did in terms of the different works that she wrote. Besides Why the Cage Bird Sings and about 5 or 6 biographies and stuff. So she definitely was. She was.
And
very
not
special.
only that, we talked about this a little bit Wednesday, but she also was deeply involved in the liberation movement before a lot of people were hip to it.
Yeah.
She was in Ghana when Malcolm got there.
Yeah.
And she showed him around and introduced him to some of the major players and who are a part of the developing African Organization of African Unity.
Yeah.
So,
you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, so she was deeply involved in some advanced strands of the liberation movement.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Because I remember also, besides being active, she also, I didn't know that, I read that she also danced with Alvin Ailey.
Yes.
That's, and she was calypso singer, sang calypso songs and stuff. Very, very creative. I know a number of her works at home and stuff, and I hope that people were, if they get a chance to, go by either Underground Bookstore or by Brother Sekou's bookstore, Frontline International, 52nd and Harper, and also, yours bookstore, which is, like I said, on 87th Street. I'm sorry, 1737 East 87, and pick up on Dr. Maya Angelou's works and everything like that, because I think that she was a national treasure. And she's done so much in terms of trying to empower people, and she was something else, But I wanted to also mention something about Edward Snowden, that I feel that I think that he should be looked upon as a person who basically was a hero as far as I'm concerned. He's a whistleblower. Yeah. He exposed a number of things that many of our people weren't aware of, what the National Security Agency was doing.
Absolutely.
I remember reading.
And some of the information he exposed resulted in Pulitzer Prizes. So evidently the media of the world considered it valuable as well.
Yeah, absolutely correct, because I remember just reading James Bamford's book, The Puzzle Palace, was his other book, The Shadow Factory, and also William Burroughs' book, Deep Black, that also talks about the National Security Agency, as well as other intelligence agencies and stuff, spy groups and stuff, that the things that they were doing that many people weren't aware of, and I just I saw the interview. I did see the interview with Edward Snowden on RT News. And I thought it was interesting. You're right. He did come across that way.
He did, man. I can see. I have a running debate with Matt about this issue. And Matt, one of Matt's issues is that Snowden is like this snotty nosed white boy who's just he just takes white privilege for granted, that kind of thing. And he did come across that way in an interview. But I think he was very credible, man.
I think he was very credible too because I just because I was looking at all the stuff that they try to demonize him, but he's not the only one. I mean, they did it to Daniel Ellsberg.
Oh,
they
sure
did it to members of the Black Panther Party. I mean, whenever you try to expose what these people are doing and stuff, and when you expose the contradictions and stuff like that, and bring out information that these people do not want people to know, they will attack you. They will demonize you.
That's right.
So you'll be isolated and ostracized. That's what they try to do, is try to isolate and ostracize you.
That's right.
But I think he did excellent.
And he explained a lot too, like that he didn't have any information when he went to Russia. He gave it to the journalists,
right?
And that he made attempts to talk to the NSA about this stuff. Although now they're saying he only sent one email, but how could you possibly believe that? How could you possibly believe that the NSA is revealing everything about it? But much was revealed in that interview, man, that I think makes him much more credible.
Yes, you're correct, and I'm not going to hold you, too long. But I want to say also that during that interview, he also mentioned how when you look at his, cause he explained his background. He said, "How can I, be." What they say I am when, I would work for the CIA and stuff, and that he worked on these different kinds of systems. I mean, there's no way that they try to make it feel like he was just some kind of low-level,
right,
person, operative, but he wasn't.
That's
he
right.
Because I could tell this person, I mean,
And Randy, did you hear him say about the phones, man, the capabilities? They could turn on your phone and turn on the camera and record what you're doing without you even knowing it.
Right.
That's incredible.
It
brother.
is incredible.
Also, your computer.
You're right. I was watching, like I said, I remember watching part of the interview on RT News, as well as people can go to democracynow.org, Amy Goodman show.
Well, you can see the whole thing. You can see the whole thing on NBC. They had the whole interview, the whole hour interview, and then they have an hour discussion after it, which is really a jive discussion because they only have establishment folks responding.
Yeah.
But still, you can see the whole thing there. But they are valuable excerpts at RT and Democracy Now.
Oh yes, yes, I agree with you. Also, last thing is this: the memorial service is at the South Museum next Friday, June the 6th, right? Is at 6:30 p.m.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm definitely going to be there.
All right, my brother.
All right,
Sam
my brother.
Green.
Keep up the excellent work.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sir.
Appreciate you.
All right,
Take care.
Randy. All right. We will be right back. And we're back. Salim Muwakkil here on the Talk of Chicago. There's a pretty serious party going on in the Legacy Room, and cars are doing strange things in the driveway, so we have to attend to that. Okay, back to the phones we go, Brother Kalen. Hey, man, how are you?
Good evening, Salim.
Good evening.
How you doing this evening?
Good.
All right. Today is the history for black people to get to know that what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma was a tragedy. And there's only a couple of people left survived it back then, and they should get reparations.
That's right.
For that incident happening in 1921. July 31st, May 31st, 1921, of a bombing, of a killing, a lynching of people in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
That's right.
So you think that we should get those people, the remaining survivors, should get the reparations from the feds?
Oh, yes, sir. I mean, there have been various attempts to do just that. Those some of those attempts have had judicial failures, but people have been, still moving on it, and there's been a lot of work on ensuring that at least something is forwarded to those survivors or the the descendants of survivors. Many of the descendants are in Chicago. The sister who runs What the Travelers Saw. boutique shop in the plaza, the Lake Park Plaza in Hyde Park on 55th Street. Laurel Stratford, her grandfather, great grandfather was J.B. Stratford, who owned the Stratford Hotel in Tulsa, which was burned down. And there are a lot of survivors in Chicago of people who were prominent in Tulsa during that period.
And don't forget Rosewood.
Oh yeah,
Florida.
And there were research has discovered at least 300 cities or villages similar to Rosewood and Greenwood that were black owned, and very viable and commercially vital cities and municipalities that were run by black people. In the days directly after slavery was abolished. So, there are many instances of us getting together and creating positive environments if we have the opportunity and we're not blocked by racist
And don't
bias.
forget Chicago. Don't forget your race riot in Chicago in 1919.
Yes, sir.
And Cairo, Illinois. And all across this country in the United States. The federal government owes us a lot, and it still owes us the 4 acres and a mule. They still owe us, and it seems like they'll take care of the Jews, they take care of everybody else, but we won't get taken care of.
Well, that's because, the Jews fought strong for it. For reparations for Israel from the Germans. There was a big struggle, and that's one of the things that Ta-Nehisi Coates' essay points out, that there was a really intense struggle within Germany and within Israel about how to structure these reparations to the state, and whether the state as a political entity could legitimately accept reparations for damage, for injury to a group of people. And that there was a lot of debate about that, and it was decided that yes, that Israel could legitimately receive reparations, and not just Israel, but the survivors of the Holocaust, survivors who are still alive. I know many in Chicago who went to school, were educated on German reparations. So
and Salim, we should get reparations from England, France, Spain, Sweden.
Well, that's the CARICOM reparations plan. I don't know if you heard our show on that, but we did a show on how the Caribbean countries have banded together to make a composite, a corporate demand for reparations for CARICOM.
I think we should be part of that too. So United States, we the blacks in America should be part of the Caribbean to get the United States.
There may be a case for that, but the case for reparations from this government, I think, is the one that has the most urgency. All right, my brother, thank you, appreciate it.
All right then,
brother Kalen. Let's go to brother Shelby. Hey, my brother, how are you, sir?
Hey, what's happening, Brother Salim?
I'm all right, Shelby.
And always, man, I never forget to try to thank you for your show, man. Your show is very good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's an understatement. That's an understatement. Hey, Brother Salim, the article that you wrote was in the Chicago Tribune under the news section. And
okay.
It's entitled, and it's dated February 12th, 2001.
Okay.
It's under slavery, and the title is Reparations Part 2, The Movement's Next Step.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So hold on now, Brother Salim. Now, I only want to read one sentence of what you wrote.
Okay.
And I know you're going to accuse me of taking it out of context.
Okay. We'll see.
Okay, hold on. You say it. It's very short. I am convinced that Americans would look more favorably on reparations were we more fully educated about the extent of slavery's lengthening legacy.
Yeah. Yes,
so,
sir.
So, Brother Salim, you think that it's just a question of educating people that are not aware of the damages that were done?
I don't think it's just a case of that, but I think that helps make the larger argument.
You know, Brother Salim. I thought about that,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that those physicists that make the bombs that they drop on other countries, and the politicians that make the decisions to drop the bombs on those other countries, those are very educated people, wouldn't you think?
Yes, sir.
They go to,
for the most part, they are.
They go to they go to school. I mean, PhD in physics,
Yes.
PhD in political science. Those are the very PhDs that will slaughter you and I, Brother Salim.
Yes,
it's not
sir.
a matter of education, Brother.
No,
Salim.
I'm not.
No,
brother.
they
Shelby,
know what they did.
Shelby, I'm not saying. All right, bro. My point is that in the national discourse in this country, there are certain kinds of assumptions that are made about slavery that feed political policies. It feeds political, ideologies, and it feeds policy directions. Certain assumptions that are made about black people, for example. Very few people know the extent. That's why Ta-Nehisi's essay was so well regarded, is because it filled the void in history. Many people didn't really know that stuff. Not just white people, but black people. And so I think when people when they know the true extent of the toll of white supremacy, they'll be less likely to dismiss people who make claims of reparations. That's the only point I'm making.
So you say if they know better, they will show better.
Not necessarily. I don't want to make it that kind of simple equation. I'm just saying that people who have a better understanding of context tend to act in a way that is more responsible. Tend to.
See, Brother Salim, I looked at when I mentioned this before in your show, and it bears repeating. When the United States under the devil Ronald Reagan was bombing Nicaragua, he was dropping. They slaughtered the land for 20, 30 years. Those people can't grow much. When Ronald Reagan was bombing Nicaragua, the Nicaraguans went to the World Court, and the World Court ordered the United States to cease the bombing and
cease the mining, cease the mining of the harbors.
Oh, wait, and you know what the United States did, Brother Salim?
Mm-hmm.
They increased the bombing.
Yes.
Then the Nicaraguan people went to the Security Court. The Security Court ruled in their favor. The United States vetoed. They got veto power.
Security Council, yes, sir.
So I'm just saying, brother. Malcolm X said.
Shelby, I know that history pretty well, brother. I was an activist during that period and fighting in favor of the Sandinistas and against the Contras. So I'm pretty familiar with that history.
Okay, very good.
And you're right. The U.S. regularly violates international laws, man, in many ways.
Every day of the week.
Yes, sir. They do.
Malcolm X said that if someone else is speaking Spanish and you're speaking French, you're not going to communicate with each other. So if these people understand violence, that's what you got to give them, Brother Salim.
Yeah, but even that has to be intelligently applied if you're going to come to that conclusion.
I agree with that. Remember what Sister Soldier said? It's not the guns that's the problem. It's the directions of the guns. That maybe we should turn the guns on the people that are really doing the damage to our community.
Well, when you talk about turning guns, though, Shelby, the thing is shooting a gun at somebody is pretty irrevocable, and sometimes you make the wrong judgment on people because we are fallible humans. We are fallible, man, and sometimes we make the wrong judgment about what people do. I've seen it happen many times, brother. And then once you shoot somebody, that's it. You can't take it back. You can't retract the bullet.
Brother Salim, hold on.
Yes,
it's
sir.
a metaphor for if you got a weapon, you need to use your weapon intelligently. If
That's
someone
right.
reads it,
That's true.
Just a gun. Come on, Brother Salim.
Well, I mean,
I'm into developing weapon systems to protect my community, man.
Yes, sir. All right.
It's not just as simple as the actual words that I'm saying. I think people can read between the lines, Brother Salim.
Yes, sir.
Now, one last thing, Brother Salim. I did see Snowden's interview with Brian Williams.
Yes.
And I like how he exposed these people. We had people in our community that's been talking about this for umpteen years, Brother Salim.
That's right.
And John Henry and they had said and neutralize you eventually. And he said that if you show your people the real face of power in this country, they will slaughter you, they will execute you, man, they will assassinate you. And that's what happened to Dr. King, man. He showed the real face of power in this country, and they had to get rid of it. So I agree. I'm glad Snowden did it.
Yeah, I am
his
too.
His grandfather was an FBI agent. You knew that, Brother Salim?
Yes, sir, I did.
Snowden's grandfather, and his dad was in the Army.
Yeah, they talked about that on the show.
Yeah. Now, I'm glad WikiLeaks too, all of them. Anonymous, you heard
Yeah, me too. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know I took a lot of time, but
No, I hear what you're saying. I was trying to speak a little bit to that fear that, America doesn't respond to moral suasion.
Exactly.
They respond to other things, but the point is that we got to know that a debt is owed, man. A lot of people don't know that still. They really don't. Even black people. I mean, a lot.
You say a debt is owed to.
Yes.
You say a debt is owed to black people. I agree with that 1,000%, but But the main question is not how do you beg? How do you force these people and leave them no?
Well, whatever is going to work, brother. As long as we know that that there's something due. A lot of people don't know that. Now I think. This will help them know that.
Okay, yeah.
All right.
I think when people tell me that it's a matter of kind of letting people know, I'm wondering how far that goes, Brother Salim, because a lot of them know what they did.
All right, my brother.
Some of them don't know, but some of them know.
Yes, sir. All right, Shelby.
Thanks a lot for taking my call.
Thank you, Shelby. Appreciate it.
Okay, man.
Let's go to Brother Allen. Hey, my brother, how you doing?
How you doing, Brother Salim?
I'm
Brother
good.
Wells made a good point today. You know that because I go back and track stuff on the internet. Even some of my relatives didn't talk about it because they didn't want us to be angry black people.
Mm-hmm.
You know that slavery happened in the South. How can the North benefit for something that happened in the South? I used to sell insurance. That's just like if your neighbor called.
Oh man, all of the North's textile factories, man. Rhode Island was basically built on slavery. The entire state.
I'm saying, Brother Salim. I'm saying this is what I said. That slavery happened in the South. Abraham Lincoln said, "I'm gonna free you." My uncle went up north. This is what I'm saying when we said black folk. You know how this country is not perfect. I'm gonna give you a good example. We expect perfection. I'm gonna give you a good example about white folks. White folk control our emotions and our economics. Brother Wells said that. Listen to shit. I'm gonna give you a good example. We got a governor down here. His brother just bought the Cleveland Browns. We got a state legislator. He referred to Hispanic people as rats. Put them all in jail. They are rats. The governor didn't say anything. Now his brother is buying the Cleveland Browns. We get mad at Sterling. Sterling can't vote. He has no power. This is what I'm saying. Now, if those people watch football.
So you think that black people should not have gotten angry at what Sterling said?
And I'm saying, yes, it make you angry, but don't let it control you.
Okay.
We don't.
How explain how we let it control us?
This is what I said, like Brother Wells said.
Brother Wells never explained. Since he didn't explain, maybe you could do better. Let's hear it.
Okay, Magic Johnson is a millionaire, good man. How you say it?
Mm-hmm.
He was exposed to racism. All the poor folks saying, "Hey, we've been saying this for 400 years." When Magic said, "Man, this guy don't like me and my wife," we made him rich by emotion. The guy walking away with almost $2 billion,
sure
probably
is.
$3 billion. Who like basketball?
Mm-hmm.
We do.
No,
Who like football?
Alan, hold for a minute, brother. I hear your passion, and it's cool. But I just want to ask you some simple questions now. Now, what should we have done when we heard about Sterling making these statements to his girlfriend? How do you think would have been a better way for us to react?
Let me ask you the question.
No, I would appreciate it if you answer that first, and then you could ask.
Personally, I'll give you a good example. I'm saying I don't want to control nobody's emotion because I wouldn't be no better than that slave master that was in the South. This was saying black folks want to control emotion. We had to start thinking about hell with these emotions. Think about economic. Like
all right.
Also, right. I'm gonna give you a good example.
So I hear the examples, but I still haven't heard the answer to the question though, and that is.
I'm giving you the answer.
Okay.
I'm giving you the answer.
Yes, sir.
Brother Wells make. I'm saying this is what I said.
You keep referring to Brother Wells, but he didn't say anything. So I'm waiting.
I'm trying to do it.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to do it. Okay. You know how you can mess up that reparation movement?
Yeah.
Are you there?
How you can mess it up?
Yeah. Give the people in the South reparation, and all the black folks will fight over it, just like Donald Sterling. It's all about economic. We'll be broke by the end of the year because, you know why? Black folks don't pool money together. I saw insurance.
All
we
right.
don't own banks. We don't own insurance companies.
Yes, sir.
See, that's why I said, Brother Salim, you live in a white man's world, not a black man's world. Please listen to other black men make their point. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now, you living in a white man's world, and I don't know if you realize that some of these brothers make good points that we have to change.
Brother Allen, I appreciate. You don't know how much I appreciate good points.
Go ahead.
You don't know how much I appreciate good points, brother. I appreciate good points more than most. But when I hear them, I appreciate it. I haven't heard them yet. I haven't heard you give me one yet.
I'm going to give you a good example about Elaine, Arkansas. You know, Bill Clinton is from Arkansas.
Yes,
I'm going to make
sir.
a point.
Uh-huh.
They had an Elaine ride. They had the Elaine ride. They had a good community. They had farms down there. My family didn't talk about it because he said, we don't want these people angry. They destroy economic. I'm going to give you about Tulsa when you said 1921.
Yes, sir.
These people said, we don't need government. You remember the Dust Bowl in the 1930s? Franklin Roosevelt said, we don't save humanity. It wasn't to save black folks. They started Social Security. How you can destroy something, then create a social program and say you're going to help the state of Oklahoma. White folks are notorious of destroying communities, building them back just like they did in Iraq, and then say, can you understand this, black man? Like I said, Brother Salim, we live in a white man's world. You have to survive.
All right, bro. Thank you, man.
All right, now.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to Yusuf. Hey, Yusuf. How are you, sir?
Hey, assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam. How are you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, brother. I'm fine.
Good.
I'm glad to sit in the class at the University of Salim.
Oh, man.
I love listening. I love listening more. I get your audience.
Well, I'm glad you called in, brother. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, brother. You know, I found look, something I didn't know about you, brother. I didn't know that you were shot in the military.
Yes, sir.
Is that true?
I was shot. Yes,
wow.
sir. But not. It was while I was in the military. I actually got shot off a base in a motel in Georgia. I didn't get shot in the serve in the active duty, so to speak.
On the combat field, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm glad you made it through that, brother.
Yes, sir. Me too, brother.
Yes, sir. You know, I watched the Snowden interview, and you know, he came off credible to me. I mean, he sounded like, you know, basically, I believe he was telling the truth. You know,
he sounded credible to me as well.
Yes, you know, and I found I didn't know that the telephone and the computer could do all those things.
Amazing, brother, amazing. That shocked me when I heard him explain that. And then he talked about how they can actually see you in the act of composing a text. They can, or even in a word processing program, into your computer, they can see you composing words and crossing them out, and they can determine your thought process. That's incredible, the capacity that they have, man.
Yeah, you know, now that was really, and then, you know, there are like certain code words, I guess, that when they detect them, that's when they tune in to you. Mm-hmm. I thought that was just fascinating,
yes,
brother.
Sir.
You know,
yes, sir.
I'm really surprised, brother. And what do you think? I'm surprised that gentleman is still alive. With the information, I mean, even being in Moscow, I'm sure America could get their tentacles on him there.
But see, he doesn't have any information. The only thing they would be able to, you know, they would get him for would be, you know, revenge or to show any whistleblower that you can't get away with it. But he gave all the information out already before he left Hong Kong. He delivered all of that information to these journalistic sources, and he gave them, you know, certain requirements. He said that they had to be very conscientious about ensuring that none of the information could cause any immediate harm, any easily detectable harm, you know, to people already deployed. You know, so he didn't have any information, and that made him less of a target.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I see. I get your point there. Because I mean, and I don't know. I guess he said there's negotiations going on, possibly his return to America. Do you think he'll end up coming back?
Maybe, brother. I mean, there are a lot of like his information produced 2 Pulitzer Prizes, and that's just the most prestigious of the prizes that his information has produced. There are all kinds of awards that journalists have received because of his work, and I think a lot of people are, a lot of, as he pointed out, all 2 branches of government have made adjustments, to accommodate the objections to these data collection programs that the NSA has, and there've been all kinds of increased visibility of these programs, and so I think as people understand the value of his actions, that there'll be more pressure for the government to be less stringent or less punitive in its approach toward him.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And thanks for taking my call, brother.
Oh man, thank you, Yusuf. Appreciate it, brother.
Peace.
All right, peace. All right, let's see, Brother Maceo. Brother Maceo, what's up, my brother?
Hey, Salim, I'm doing great, and yourself?
I'm good, man.
Oh, man. First of all, let me just thank you once again for, on behalf of Division 429 and Division 401, for having our President General on Wednesday.
Oh, yes, sir. They were very articulate, man. That brother, brother Senghor was a very, very articulate cat, man.
Oh, man. But, and the information that was shared was just, it was, they said, mind-boggling. And then he was on Alderman Tillman's show this morning.
Oh, was he? Okay, good.
Yes.
Good.
And so I appreciate both you and Alderman Tillman. Mm-hmm. And I'd just like to say thank you very much from the bottom of our...
How did it go today?
Oh, yesterday?
Yesterday, yes, sir.
Oh, it was great in that there weren't a lot, but they were young people in the audience, and that really imbued me, to see, so many young people, the group. Are you familiar with Man-Child?
Yes, I am. Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. And you know how phenomenal they are, and but they were there, and then there were other young people, dispersed throughout the auditorium. And that really was a highlight for me,
Well, I got that impression, on the show. Some young brothers call and seemed to be pretty excited about what they were hearing, And I guess it's really pretty interesting how it's fascinating, really, how differing generations receive differing messages, or how they receive the same message.
Good point.
Because of certain kinds of conditions in their lives, a lot of black youth are so tired of the games that black leadership has been playing. These accommodation games, these games in which you have to compromise in order to gain access to certain kind of resources. They're so tired of that. They want to see more direct action, more direct kind of implementation of policies. And the way the brother was talking, and the whole Garveyite, polemic is exactly that, and I think a lot of young people are excited by that kind of rhetoric.
And I'm in agreement with you in that our young people, just like you were saying, our young people, they are fed up with just a lot of talk. They want to see some results, and
Yes,
and they want to see something tangible in the form of employment and in terms of schooling, in terms of us, as he was saying, standing, being how can you say, for us, being there to give to them what we should have given to them long time ago. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And
one of the things, Brother Maceo, that used to make the Nation of Islam such a standout organization. Still does, but not in the same way during the period of this high ideological resonance with other black organizations. You know, there was a very strong black nationalist movement. People were talking about it's nation time all over the place. And so the nation was right, like at the pinnacle of that. And in the nation, you would see brothers riding in big cars and seemingly wearing luxury clothes, although not really luxury, but just well turned out clothes. The brothers in the nation were known to kind of rock expensive gear, and a lot of people were very critical of that. It's in the nationalist community, very very critical. Say, man, that's materialistic, man, and you are diverting attention from what we should be doing as a people. But what the nation was doing really was showing young people that they could do good and do well at the same time. That these two things were not at odds with each other. You could do work for your nation, and yet you could, live, with some comfort as well. And I think that's an important message to get across. And I think a lot of that's what the point you're making, that a lot of youth are looking for some tangible evidence of these ideologies,
And and segueing into another subject, you had talked about Tulsa earlier, and this morning Alderman Tillman had on one of the survivors, a woman by the name of Dr. Olivia Hooker, and she's 99 years old. And I mean, Salim, she painted such a vivid picture of what took place there, on that day.
Wow.
And I mean, you have to go back and retrieve this archives and just listen. I mean, it was so poignant. It was so real.
I've heard her, do the narrative before, but whenever I hear her, she always adds another nuance. It always brings in a whole new realization, man. So I hear you. I didn't hear it this morning, but I can understand what you're saying.
But which brings me to the point of this. We, as a people, deserve reparations. Our ancestors, in reference to slavery, and then Jim Crow, specifically Jim Crow, because I've mentioned this a long time, on a number of occasions. It went directly against, it encroached upon the 14th Amendment. But Tulsa, you had the government involved in bombing these homes, and they were never compensated for it. And does that seem like, under the 14th Amendment, it said that you're supposed to have equal protection under the law. Yet these, these hooligans, these, these
terrorists, man. Call them terrorists, right?
Terrorists. That's a good word.
Yeah.
Terrorists. Supposedly being there to restore order, instead they dropped bombs.
And you know what? What I didn't realize before is that they stole the planes owned by black plane owners to bomb Greenwood. These were stolen planes that they used. These weren't their own planes. Black people had owned their own planes in Tulsa, and they stole these planes and bombed Greenwood with the planes that were owned by black pilots.
And this was the militia, I guess the National Guard of Tulsa.
Yes.
And they were never brought up on charges. I don't imagine, huh?
No, sir.
And so, but this is a clear-cut case.
Oh, man, it's exactly. I mean, that's why there had been so much interest in prosecuting it, because it seemed like, hey, maybe justice will finally come to these people. But yet, these statutes of limitations and all kinds of other legal barriers have prevented any kind of rendering of justice.
And in closing, her attorney, the survivor's attorney, Gail Wright, was on too.
Okay.
And there's a petition. I don't know how you will, your listeners can retrieve it, but probably type her name in, Attorney Gail Wright, Tulsa Survivors, and there's a petition to help.
That's
to
Gail Wright with a W.
Right, I think so,
W-R-I-G?
yes. W-R-I-G-H-T.
Okay.
And in addition to that, there's still a House bill that's H.R. 98. I called immediately after the show. I called Congressman Danny Davis, and I asked him whether he can do something about reviving that bill, because, they really, we, as I say, our people in general deserve reparations, but the case is so clear. You know what I'm saying? And in closing, I would like to just read you a short quote from Crusade for Justice, and this is the great Ida B. Wells talking about. And the reason I'm saying it is last night, this was so, how can you say it, prescient. On the stage, you had a huge photo of Marcus Garvey. Then right next to him, you had a huge photo of the great Ida B. Wells. And he was in Chicago, and he ultimately, met her husband at his law office, and then he was asked to come to dinner at her home. And so ultimately, after that conversation, he asked Ida B. Wells to come to New York to speak before the UNIA. But this is what she said about him. Mr. Garvey made an impression on this country as no Negro before him had ever done. He has been able to solidify the masses of our people and endow them with racial consciousness and racial solidarity. And thank you, Salim.
All right. Thank you, Maceo. Appreciate it.
All right, man.
All right.
And once again, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Brother Maceo, let's go to Malik. Hey, my brother. How are you?
How you doing, Brother Salim?
I'm doing well,
man.
man.
Show for quite some time. This is my first time calling.
Welcome, brother. Welcome.
And I'm glad to give my put my 4 cents in.
Hey, I'm glad that you did it, man. We need all of these cents, man. As many cents as we can get.
Yes, I mean there's a growing phenomenon here, and I want all the listeners that's out here right now, and especially the males and the females also, but especially the males. And this phenomenon is the gang culture here in the city of Chicago. If I see one more march, I'm gonna hang myself.
One more what?
One more march about stop the violence.
Oh, okay.
It has to be more than that. That's not going to do it. I took a trip downstate Illinois, and as I was going through these little small towns in downstate Illinois, I see all these Ford pickup trucks. And all of them got gun racks. And they got 13 and 14-year-old kids out there shooting deer. In fact, Illinois is one of the major hubs for deer hunting.
Yes, it is.
But there's no killing in their communities. There's no killing in their communities. We got to worry about the gun law. It's not the gun law. It's the people that have the guns.
Yes, sir.
And I talked to one young fellow. He told me he can get a crate of guns, a crate, for $200, a crate, easily. I work with a lot of the guys out here in the street, and not just guys, just young people in general, because I have boys, and I have nieces, and I have nephews. That this is
how old are your boys?
My boys are 12, 18, 23, and I got a 30-year-old.
Oh,
but
okay.
I got nieces and nephews, and I have friends that have children and young children these are their peers that are out here killing killing everybody.
Yes, sir.
That comes in the sight. When you call Chicago Chirac, I mean, we're talking about a war zone in Iraq. They named it Chirac.
Yes, sir.
Listen. The men in the city of Chicago, it is time for all this BS to start reaching out to these young fellas. Yeah, of course, there's going to be some that don't want to listen. But you have to reach out. We have to do something, anything.
Yes, sir. I hear that desperation, man. Tell me, what do you suggest we do, brother? What do you think would be the most, effective way to do this?
Okay, one of the most important things is people with education don't go out and start killing people.
Generally
Number
not,
one.
right?
And I'm talking, when I say education, I'm not talking about degrees and diplomas. I'm talking about just the basic thing of learning how to read.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When you don't know how to read, you can't function in life because you can't go get a job. You become embarrassed the older you get and everything else. The only thing you know is violence and everything else because you can't get a job.
That's right. That's right.
So we had to just to do that. So it's the guys that don't know how to read. Now, another thing, and this is and I'm serious about this. When you are out here shooting a gun, and the grandmothers can't sit on their porch no more and enjoy the sunlight because they might get shot. You know, the woman was going to work and she gets a bullet warning, and they shoot in the daytime. Should violence be?
Oh, you mean that the sister who was simply visiting her other job and she happened to get shot by a stray bullet, right?
Exactly.
And man, amazing, man, shot her in the head in broad daylight.
This is no respect. And only shootings that you hear, 80% of the shootings, they never catch the person. So that person is still roaming around.
Well, I don't know if it's 80%, but I know it is a high percentage.
It's a very high number. It's a very high number. And it's something that we all should be concerned about.
Oh, absolutely.
Now I wonder.
Don't you think we are concerned, though?
Now, we're talking about terrorism. Isn't that terrorism?
I don't think so, brother. I think we confuse. These brothers are not doing this for a political purpose. I mean, that's the definition of terrorism. These are criminals. These are brothers that committing fratricide. I don't think terrorism. If we mix up the labels, I think that puts us in.
Well, the root word of terrorism. The root word of terrorism is terror.
Well, a terrorist has a specific definition. And that's it's a definition that we've learned to demonize because of it has political implications. You could call them terrorism, but I don't see what that.
Salim, I'm gonna tell you this here: do violence respect violence? I think it does.
Well,
I don't.
So what are you suggesting, brother Yusuf?
Okay,
brother Malik. I'm sorry.
Well, it's time for men to be concerned about their children and your neighborhood.
Are you suggesting, and that just let me cut to the chase here? Are you suggesting like kind of like a vigilante assembly?
No.
Okay.
Vigilante that's against the law. They're not vigilante.
Okay, because I've seen
more intelligent.
I've seen that. I've seen brothers try to do that. They were so frustrated that they tried that.
Right. Because it's complex, but we all need to do something. And this is why. This is one of the things I think.
Okay.
If we could set up classes or set anything up with any kind of home we have to just have reading classes, tutoring to teach people how to read, to teach the young people that you do have a chance to try to get a job. Any kind of connection that a person has, an older person has, that can bring a couple of people in. Because let me tell you this: a lot of them don't want to be out here shooting and killing.
Most of them don't. Most of them don't, brother.
They don't, but they don't have another. They don't have no other idea.
They're trapped in their context.
Let me tell you one thing, and I'm gonna let you go, Salim. I was on 95th and King Drive. I was coming from Walgreens there. It's on a Sunday morning, and I'm standing there waiting for the light to change. But there was an elderly guy standing right next to me, and a young fellow standing there with his pants sagging down. And an older guy said, "Young fella, why don't you pull your pants up?" And that young fella told that old man, he said, "I'll pull my pants up when you put yours on."
Wow.
And I walked across the street, and it hit me like a drum. They do not respect the older black males because we have dropped the ball, because this is the result of our actions, and there they are right here, because their actions bear witness to the fact that we didn't teach them, we didn't show them how to be men, we didn't teach and show the young girls how to be women, and not to be able to accept that kind of nonsense.
Yes,
that is on our head. And when we walk and march around and we go to church and go to the
okay, all right, but I got you. We bear the blame. What do we do about it?
We do. Okay. Schooling, education, jobs.
Okay, so we should get together and form collectives to get people educated, to teach young people how to read.
Yes.
All right, brother.
And that's in anybody's own little individual environment.
All right, my brother. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Brother Malik, very, very good suggestions. You know, I think about what we did in the Panther Party. That's exactly what we did. We had storefronts in two cities in New Jersey, for example, Roselle and Linden, and in which we did exactly that. We tutored young people, pre-kindergarten, how to read. We had people reading, young black folks reading before they even went to kindergarten. And they would get health care and all of that. But you know, we needed funding. You could only take dedication so far. We needed funding, so we tried to get funding by asking, you know, the businesses in the area, or not simply asking, but demanding, essentially extorting, and that was not a viable fundraising method, not a sustainable source of revenue. And that's what we have to develop, a sustainable source of revenue to go along with that dedication. If we had that, and we could figure out a way to keep that going, we can move. We can move. Okay, we'll be right back. And we're back. Man, Thelonious Monk, John Coltrane. What an amazing combination, brother. That music will send you to Jupiter if you let it. Okay, let's go, Brother John. Hey, how you doing, my brother? Brother John.
Hey, Salim. Hello,
Yes, sir.
hello, sir. How are you?
I'm well, man. How are you?
Good, good. I want to chime in on reparations. I just got my issue of Atlantic on the case of reparations. I haven't had a chance to read it. I just skimmed through it. And let me just say that for me, the issue of reparations is a top-down issue instead of a bottom-up issue. For me, reparations can only be not only be used, but primarily be used to assist African Americans who have acquired a certain level of skill, to exploit those skills for the betterment of society. The use of reparations as a massive safety net or welfare program, good luck. To me, that's not how I.
What about a Marshall Plan kind of strategy?
No, we got it. We got a Marshall Plan. We just don't take advantage of it. One example of a Marshall Plan that we just don't want to take advantage is the White House. The President of the United States, a black man who we are so proud of. However, 2 people resigned this week. Veterans and the press secretary. And I'm noticing this.
Jay Carney and Eric Shinseki.
Yeah. I know the first string ain't us, meaning black folk. We ain't on the first string. Then I said, well, look at the second string. Maybe we're on the bench. We ain't on the bench. Black people are the most intelligent, skilled black people. We are not on the.
But that's not that's not a Marshall Plan. A Marshall Plan is a different idea altogether. It's not simply individual appointees. It's a transfer of currency and resources to people, and so that they can it's an investment in human capital.
What do you think the VA is? The VA is the largest employer of the federal government. It's the second behind the Department of Defense. That's what these things are. Everybody else uses those positions, those opportunities as leverage. Okay,
the VA is charged with servicing veterans of foreign wars in particular, but all veterans in general. I don't think it has anything to do with a Marshall Plan. It may, ironically, VA hospitals are probably the most perfect example of socialism in any place you can find, even better than Sweden. But we don't want to call it that.
My only point is, I know that the mission and the services are for the VA, but I'm saying the people who work for the VA, the vast majority of them are not veterans.
That's
the vast majority. So what I'm saying is, African Americans have to leverage leverage our political might.
I got your point. Yes, sir. That is true.
Okay, again, getting back to the Obama administration.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we cannot. The man said he wanted to set up a mentoring program for underprivileged, disadvantaged, African Americans, and he wanted Magic Johnson to. Are you kidding me? I like Magic. But come on, man.
Yeah.
Are we really serious about this? If he is the world's foremost mentor. How many African Americans is he mentoring? I mean, it's just, to me, in my opinion, it's those small little things that I see as a professional African American. I see other ethnic groups doing it to the fullest. I see the Jewish community. No mistake that when Stern stepped down, Silver stepped in. Okay, but that's just one. But throughout academia, throughout the medical profession, the legal profession, they are on the depth chart. They first, second, third string. But when it comes to us, with all of our education,
but again, brother, my mantra: we don't have that kind of cultural capital that Jewish people have.
I got it.
As a rule, we don't have it. It doesn't take long to develop, as we were talking about earlier. You look at Tulsa and Greenwood and Rosewood and all those other woods, but Idlewild and all that. But we don't. We've been prevented. That's what. Let me suggest you read that piece.
I will.
And just with an open mind, and let it marinate for a while, and let me know what you think.
Let me end with this, Salim.
Mm-hmm.
I will read it. But to me, the speech that 10-15-minute speech that Minister Farrakhan gave on rekindling the reparations movement in Chicago
was all you needed to hear.
Yes, sir. We need leverage.
Yes,
we need strength.
No
we
doubt,
need power.
no doubt. Yes,
and
sir.
we need that cultural capital that you speak of.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
All right, brother. Brother John, let's go to my man Dwight. Hey, haven't heard from you in a while, my brother. Hotep.
Hotep. My slaves keep me occupied during the week till
that's all right.
I don't get home until the show is over, and been rather busy on Saturdays. I listen, sometimes I just haven't been calling in.
All right.
But let me say I owe an apology to Sister Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou. Even though I went to see, hear her recitals and lectures, I always had this resentment. And as soon, I know her history, and as soon as I heard somebody describing someone being gone and heard a couple of items from the history without hearing the name, I knew it was her. And as soon as they said the name, I said to myself, "You dummy," for having that resentment. What the resentment was about was that at one time she was married to a white man, and I never forgave her for it until I heard that she was gone, and I thought, it was like that. I missed her.
I can't. You fading out, my brother.
Okay.
Dwight.
Is that any better?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It was like a dagger went through my heart, and I missed her immensely. So I apologize for that. But let me move on.
That's good.
Mr. Wells, I detest calling him by a title when I know his full name, and it's kind of like calling somebody when the crooked preachers calling him Reverend, So I think it was Alan. Gave the appropriate radio name for him. From here on, I'll refer to him as Brother Wells.
Okay.
And everybody know I know him well. And,
yes, sir.
Anyway.
And he spoke well of you. I think a few calls ago.
Right, but the last time I called in, he came on behind me. It was at the right at the equinox, and I think I talked about how.
Oh yes, sir. I remember that.
Yeah, various cultures around the world use these allegories for the movement of the sun and the stars and the moon, and they make up this mythology. And he came along, after me and said, "Well, Dwight knows full well that the Hebrews, are unique, and they're not." Man, come on, he never got that from me, and I do not know that. So anyway.
I do remember that though, man, because he was talking about the lunar movements, but he said something about stellar. I was like, how did the stars get in this? But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the stars are in it as well. But I mean, the constellations is where the sun moves through. So anyway, we'll deal with that another time. The entertainment and the basketball. I didn't get his point, but I kind of detest most entertainment. Let's take basketball, for instance, in the NBA. They start every one of them out with Mary J. Blige or, some black person singing the national anthem, especially at the big games, to show the world that black people are happy. The happy song, but it's called a national anthem. We not really suffering from racism. Listen how great Marvin Gaye singing this song and all this old crap. Okay, and
Jimi Hendrix played it right though.
Who was that now?
Jimi Hendrix. When he played the national anthem, man, you were terrified.
Good. The other week when the Frontline was showing the United States of Secrets, 2-part documentary. I'm sure, I went and researched it, and it was a basketball on at the time. And the greatest programs, one of the things I used to do when the Super Bowl would come on or one of these big championship games would come on, I would check the PBS station to see what was on, and they would have the best black documentaries of the whole year at the same time. So what we sitting up there watching. Go for that out. At the boxing match. Knock your brother's eye out, knock him out, and all this old stupid stuff. Okay, and then Salim, last point.
I think you're right about that, man. I think that's a good point, brother. Yes, sir.
Okay. I got. Okay, I'll make this in the same thread. Okay, I could not disagree with you more about Steve, white boy Steve, from the North Side, and Snowden. Well, no comparison other than they're both white.
Oh, okay. I wasn't trying to compare the two. My point is that their effect. They both have a certain effect. I don't know if you listen to the show on Monday, but Matt and I had this kind of ongoing discussion or debate about Snowden. And Matt often characterizes him as this snotty-nosed white boy who seems to kind of languish in white privilege. And my point was that
that's ridiculous.
But my point was that he did come across kind of like a snotty-nosed cat in the interview. And unfortunately, that effect often determines how a lot of black people respond to something.
Well, using the two people we're talking about, Steve is an arrogant white boy who, like liberals, presume that they are smarter than black people and qualified to lead black people intellectually or politically or whatever. And Steve is a hater, and he not qualified. I remember how me and him fought over the rewriting of their racist white supremacist history, that he wants to maintain the status quo on blacks, in pre-Columbian America. So he is
okay, Dwight. I mean, to me, I think you're attributing too much to that. I think you have a difference of opinion, and I don't think he attributes your difference to some character flaw. So I don't know why you do. But I hear what you're saying. But did you want to make another point on that? Because I mean, talking about other callers, man.
Finish this up. It'll be brief. He loves to throw out how I'm a high school dropout. Guess what? So is Snowden.
I never even heard him say anything about you being. I didn't know that you were a high school dropout.
Well, I am,
okay.
and I've said it on your show numerous times. I'm kind of proud.
I don't even remember.
And Steve likes to throw it up, but so it's last point here about the turning on the mics and the cameras. We give permission to the main flippers of those switches, which is the corporations, not the government.
Mm-hmm.
It's the corporations, and we give them permission every time we sign on for a new app or any of that stuff. In the terms of agreement, we give them the right to turn on our cameras and turn on our mics.
No, we only give them the right for cookies. We don't give them the right to turn on it.
No, sir.
You're gonna have to give me some documentation on that, brother. I know because I've done a little just a little bit on this. I haven't done a lot, but I've done. And as far as I know, cookies are the extent of what they have access to.
Oh, absolutely, way beyond cookies.
Okay,
way beyond cookies. I've read some of the terms of agreement for the iHeart app. Mm-hmm. And some of these the TuneIn app, and you read them, and you see right there where you agree to that stuff.
I'm gonna check them out. All right.
Thanks, sir.
All right, Dwight.
All right.
Thank you, bro. All right, that's interesting. If they give that much access to these corporations, I know that they have access, no doubt about it, but it's primarily for marketing purposes, and they generally put a barrier at these more intrusive kinds of activities, like the camera and the mic, which, as Snowden points out, the NSA can manipulate at will. And not just NSA, but apparently any contractor who has access to it can do it. Aaron, good evening. How are you, sir? Aaron, are you there?
Oh, yes. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
I am good. Listen, while I was on hold, I heard you talking earlier in several other calls about reparations.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get reparations from white folk. Now, here's my take on that, because
not so much white folks, but the government.
Well, you know what I mean. Government, that consists of white folks and Jews.
Well, I mean, we pay taxes into that government too, so it wouldn't just be from white folks.
Yeah. Well, the government. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's get three things straight about that. Does the government owe us? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And are they going to admit that fully, entirely? Doesn't know. Said Bill Clinton said he apologized for slavery, but are they going to come out? I mean, make a full apology and really give us something rock solid like that? I doubt it.
Okay.
And it's probably not going to happen no time soon. Probably even never, because that's how they are. I mean, if what's funny? I just was happy.
Your voice is muffled, Aaron. I don't know exactly what it's hard to understand what your voice is real. Can you make the phone a little bit clearer somehow?
Hold on. Uh-huh. Okay, do you hear me now?
A little bit better, yes, sir.
Okay. So while I was on hold, I was just so happened to read how the white folks got rich. And I really just got around to reading that. You've been sitting in the house collecting dust. You got so much to read, and you haven't got around to reading. You got so many books to read, and you've been collecting dust. And so I just got around to reading that. And, white folks make so much money, especially during
Did you read this piece, this Atlantic piece on reparations?
I'm sorry?
Did you read this piece in the Atlantic magazine that we were talking about on reparations? Have you seen it?
I heard it, and I got a chance to read it, but
because you were talking about how white people get rich. This article, I think, it will help anyone who reads it understand that process.
Oh yes, I understand. I heard the article. I just didn't get a chance to read it, but how the white folks got rich is right up their alley too. So what I'm saying is that slavery and how white folks got rich over that, and even today, how white folks get rich over us. So, for example, these holidays, that's how these industries target towards us. That's how they make their money. And we actually make simple steps to start getting back. We can start making simple moves to start, perpetuate ourselves to put ourselves in a better position as far as financial and we can put ourselves in a better position as far as not doing this whole holiday thing, because we as far as this 4th of July, Easter, I mean, it's all about money to begin with. It's not really about Jesus and the whole 4th of July thing. I mean, 1776, July 4th, where were we when the 13 colonies were freeing themselves or separating themselves from the King of England? We was in the cotton fields picking cotton, and on 4th of July, white folks popping firecrackers is just another excuse to make more money. We was in the cotton fields.
That's right.
And they were breaking away from England. So how can we relate to that?
Well, people have been making that case for a long time. Frederick Douglass famously asked that question way back then. But we still celebrate it, and I think it's a civic celebration. Black people feel that we are part of this civic entity that is the United States, and so we participate in these civic expressions of celebration and commemoration. And I'm not sure how, many people have argued against it for many years. I remember it very well. I also remember when Imam Warifdeen Muhammad, with the world, when it was called the World Community of Islam, he broke away from what was a traditional kind of nationalist aversion and animosity toward that celebration of July 4th, Independence Day, and he embraced it, and he called it New Patriotism Day. And then the Muslims who followed Imam Warifdeen embraced 4th of July and as New Patriotism Day and celebrated it just as vigorously as white America did, but for different reasons. They adapted it to a different concept. And so there are many ways to approach this. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate it, Aaron.
All right.
Brother Aaron, let's go to Brother Manson. Hey, Brother Manson. How you doing? Hotep.
My brother Salim Muwakkil.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, my son fixed my computer, so I'm back.
All right,
where I can join the discussions and stuff.
All right, man.
Well, and of course, go ahead.
No, I was saying I look forward to your voice on that on these very important discussions that we had on the
Sante Sana, you're much too kind.
Yes, sir.
Just a few things, I'm responding to some things that I heard. First of all, Maya Angelou, Vincent Harding, Sam Greenlee, I think they all died on May 19th. Or made their transition on May 19th.
Yes, sir. I think it was the same day. Right.
That's right. Add another brother who you knew, I'm pretty sure, Elombe Braff.
I knew him well, brother in New York. And another brother, too, General Baker. A brother from Detroit who was a very strong activist.
Yeah, I'd heard about a brother in Detroit, but Elombe, I met him back around 2003 or 4 when we went up to New York for that United Nations reparations demonstration.
Yes, sir. Right. He was very instrumental.
Elombe, as you well know, has a long history of nationalism and Pan-Africanism, Garveyism, and activists, and just a great guy. And I got a chance to meet him. He was a good friend to the late, great Rua Sanyama Chiri from Zimbabwe, who used to provide leadership for us here with the United Africans for One Motherland International. He's from what was then Rhodesia, of course, and of course he got assassinated, unfortunately, in New York, and he stayed with Elombe.
Yes, he did. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, if you remember,
All right. Elombe was a host for a lot of folks from the diaspora. I remember meeting some black folks from Britain with him. It was really the first time I had come in contact with real serious Pan-Africanists from Britain. And they were hosted by Elombe.
Well, one thing, I guess we have to understand is whatever we're going to do, we need to do it, as the Panther Party would say, seize the time.
That's exactly right.
Because, Kwame Ture used to say, hey, sooner or later, unfortunately, time imposes its tyrannical arm on us, and we got to get up out of here.
Yes.
And become ancestors. So,
yes.
these are all great people. And, of course, Maya Angelou was with the OAAU.
Yes, she was. She was.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. She done some great things. The other thing that I want to mention to that brother Alan, this is not the white man's world. You can't be, in my judgment, promoting that kind of idea. That demobilizes people. We already up against the wall. So let's not demobilize our people by asserting crazy things like that. These people are predator people, the wrongdoers, and they have advantages and they are organized and all of that.
And they have a very lengthy head start.
Yeah, it ain't their world. We ain't laid down. The Chinese are not laying down. We ain't laying down. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I would urge him to redo that one.
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, for our brother who's seeking for us to join CARICOM, I would urge him and all the others in the Chicagoland area who were talking about reparations or whatever to come this coming Thursday, which will be June 5th, to the Jacob Carruthers Center for Inner City Studies. Most people know where that is, 700 East Oakwood Boulevard. And it's going to be the second teach-in and strategy session. The Chicago chapter of NCOBRA, in conjunction with the Amos Wilson Institute, under the very capable leadership of Brother Nubian and Cam Howard, there providing leadership.
I just saw a picture of Cam with Representative Conyers.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, well, anyway, what we're doing is reviving the reparations movement, but right here in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
We're dealing with, trying to understand the Durban Declaration and Program of Action, which is international human rights kind of stuff. We want to strengthen the disclosure ordinance that Alderwoman Dorothy Tillman and her group champion. So it's some things we can do right here in Chicago, but we're doing it through teach-ins. A lot of people don't really understand reparations, and you can also Google.
So that's Thursday, June 5th.
June 5th at 6:30. If you come to doors open around 6, but we'll probably get started around 6:30 to about 9 p.m. We had the first one on May 15th, which was a few Thursdays ago, and it was great. We had a great turnout, and folk came, ready to learn.
Well,
so
all right, my brother. They should be even more ready now with all this, public discourse about reparations. So, it should be very helpful to the attendants.
And reparations concerns itself with repair, healing, and restoring.
Yes, sir.
Which was damaged, and of course there's some things
all right, my
we
brother.
can do internally.
Yes, sir. All right, Brother Manson. Thank you, man.
Right on.
Appreciate it. And we will be right back. 907. Salim Muwakkil here on the Talk of Chicago. 1690 WVON. And let's go right back to the phones. Brother Sel. Hey, man. How you doing, my brother?
Brother Salim.
Yes, sir.
Salim, trying to call when you're on is something like a sweet aggravation.
Oh, wow. Why do you say that, my brother?
Well, the number of times that you have to try.
Yeah, well,
it's a further indication of the number of people who just can't do anything but call you.
Yeah, it is.
So in that sense, I appreciate the fact that there's so many people who seek you out, but the line is tied up to the point that that's the aggravation point. You can't hardly get in.
Well, you made it, brother. You made it.
Bless you,
yes,
as
sir.
always. Listening to you and Matt, I see you taking him to the cultural woodshed all the time. And I have to compliment him in that he seemingly begrudgingly go in, but when he comes out, he compliments you for adding to his wherewithal. His friend who's with the NSA obviously gave him a position that really sent him off into left field regarding the Snowden situation.
I think so, man.
But right. I appreciate your ability to just no, Matt, look, come back in and look at it in a different way.
Because,
Salim,
when the president's gone, man, we're going to be left with that kind of, with a national security state that we won't be able to tolerate, brother.
Yeah. Hosea 4:6 says that my people perish
for lack of knowledge. Huh?
Well, I'm looking for some folk such as you to help me to change that scripture. It's not the lack of knowledge; it's the lack of courage. We have enough people who know and know that they know, but don't have the courage to execute their understanding.
Yes, you may be right, brother. But I think it's hard for most people to summon up the courage. It takes, special people, like yourself, for example, to step out and do something unusual that will inspire others to follow in your footsteps. And I think we have to try to make it convenient for people to do the right thing, because most people don't have. It's hard to have courage, man. We need it, but it's a rare quality.
Yeah, and that's what's missing.
Yes, sir.
There are enough of us in our community who have an understanding, a very detailed, intimate understanding of issues.
Yes, sir.
And understand the solutions, but don't have the courage to go forward with them. I admire you, the way when you allow people to offer their analysis of how dreadful our situation is, and you'll ask them, what's the solution? What are you doing about it? And that's when they go to talking in square circles backwards. Today, I spent a good 4 hours with some young folk at the intersection of Holman and Harrison on the west side.
Is that right? Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, working on a vacant lot.
Okay.
And during the break, had an opportunity to talk to them, the boys, rather, about when I turned 12 and what was on my mind, trying to grow up as I was being ordered to do, but nobody was telling me what the hell to do, how I was supposed to think. It was just a simple, straightforward, you've got to grow up. And I shared with them some of the things that I did as a 12-year-old in my own little 12-year-old mind.
Where'd you
grow up?
Where'd you grow up, Sal, by the way?
Sir?
Where did you grow up, man?
I was born in Mississippi. I lived there for 7 years. I grew up in a little town the next 10 years, 20 miles south of Michigan City. Moved to Michigan City my last year in high school, where my father had a barbershop. And from there, I went off to school, military, ended up in Chicago.
What branch?
Housing programs over
What
west.
branch of the military?
Sir?
What branch of the military were you in?
Army.
Okay.
Army. Lastly, when I met Annie Lee, it was like walking into heaven. I had held this woman up so high because I had her pictures, her artwork, in my restaurant in D.C., and they became an attraction that we sold off the walls, and the supplier would come and bring more artwork. But I just held this lady in such high.
You had a restaurant. Now you dropping this information as if it's no big thing. You had a restaurant in D.C., Brother Sal?
Yeah, I had a seafood restaurant in Chinatown. The main street of Chinatown was 8th Street, and our restaurant was on I. We were an oddity. It was an extremely gorgeous place, very gorgeous. In fact, we had, I would say, it was the nicest black restaurant there, and it
a
it
black
rivaled.
Chinese restaurant.
No, we sold seafood.
Oh, okay.
Normally the only thing black folks have in Chinatowns is their money that they've left.
Yes, right.
But we had a restaurant.
That's true, man. That's unusual. An oddity indeed.
It was.
Oh,
Lastly,
man, that's interesting, man. I didn't know that about your history, brother.
Yeah,
you had a varied life, man.
It was an experience. I enjoyed it. I met a lot of good people. My partner was extremely wired to the political system, so people came in, and I just enjoyed it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it didn't work, but it has added to my wherewithal now. And
yes, sir.
I, however painful it was financially, I got a lot out of it that you really couldn't buy off of a shelf.
I got you.
Lastly, in terms of this spiritual encounters, I had the same same situation that happened to me when I met Minister Farrakhan on a one-on-one. Well, his son was with him in Michigan City. And again, it was just, thought I was going to faint. The other was a time that I met you after hearing you for so long, and I finally met you, and I was just so moved. Well, last night, I had an opportunity to meet a brother that I had been looking for, going to these Afrocentric gatherings and asking people, is he there? Was he there? He wasn't. But last night, I met him, and it was Maceo.
Maceo, all right.
Oh, man, I was so glad to meet this brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good.
I was so glad to meet him. And I've always
that's an auspicious meeting, man. You and Maceo, yes, sir.
Yeah. He's always shared so much information, and that's the other carrier that we here in Chicago, well, the world has, through WVON, and more specifically through you, because Maceo doesn't really call into all of the shows. He reserves his contribution through a conduit that he knows is sanitized. And if ever there was a clean host, you are.
Oh, brother, thank you, man.
But I just want to thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it, sir.
I appreciate you.
All right, brother.
Thank you.
Take care. Hey, brother, they're talking about cleanliness. The cell is synonymous with that. I also, Cell said he had a restaurant. I had, a lot of people don't know this, but in my past, I was also a small business owner. I had a health food store called the House of Revelations. And we were really trying to be pioneers, a health food store in the black community in the 70s. And we did pretty well for about a year and a half, and and then we weren't doing too well. So I guess we all have those kinds of episodes in our past, and Cell, as a restaurant owner, I really didn't know that about him. That's a very, very interesting aspect of his history. Ronnie P, hey, how you doing?
How you doing, my brother? It's
I'm
Ronnie
doing
P
well.
on the south side.
Good. Welcome, brother.
Listen,
welcome.
When I call, I try to, reiterate, the education of the hidden colors.
Oh, yes, sir.
Salim,
Yes, sir.
I need to know your opinion on the best education every black man and woman and child should see. And as far as the Snowden situation, let's not forget Manning was first who reported it.
Pardon me?
And Manning.
Oh, Bradley Manning. Yes, sir.
Now
he's not Bradley Manning anymore. He's Chelsea Manning.
Right. And the soldier that wants the government, the government in prison to make him a girl. But what I want, to reiterate is, I don't know if you was here in June last year, but every June I try to let it be known, no one is putting together something for the children. Because when they get out of school, they have nothing to do if they have no job. I've told Father Flager, doing your marches in the neighborhood, knock on every door and see how many balls, bats, and gloves you can collect and start something. We always seem to think it takes funds. I had Boy Scout, Cub Scout, softball, Little League, basketball. Wasn't quite my game because, it was more like a boxing ring. Football was too much equipment. I did Olympic and I did marathon, but one of my biggest activity with the kids was the Big Wheel 500. You remember the Big Wheel, don't you?
You mean those little carts, little bicycle-like things?
Little plastic tricycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the Big Wheel 500 was one of the larger because of the young kids.
And most of them had big wheels too at that time, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I had a big, large obstacle course.
Oh man!
I had about 40 kids. It was nice. But what I want you to understand is we have another 4 weeks, 3 weeks. The kids are out for summer again.
Yes, sir.
And it costs anywhere from $75 to $125 for any child to participate in any real program. And it's not that we dropped the ball. Well, I say they because I try to be real active in at least the conversation so I can get my personal language some more so I can get back out there and work with these kids to help themselves because no one else will. But it's not that they drop the ball. They don't even have the ball in their hands. They don't even have the ball. Are you understand that?
I think so, brother. I think so.
You can't drop a ball if you don't have it in your hands.
Yes, sir.
You know, so Salim, please give me your opinion on The Hidden Color. And part 3 is coming out real soon. Please, I want to hear you.
Oh, I like. You know, I think it was. You know, see, the thing about it with me, man, is that really that kind of information is how I began in the movement. You know, when I was at Rutgers, man, I had the pleasure of being in a class with John G. Jackson, Yosef Ben Yakinen, a number of the icons, you know, who in Afrocentric scholarship. So I know a lot of what they're talking about. I've heard Phil Valentine before, Frances Quest Welsing. You know, she's lectured at a few of my classes, and plus I studied ISIS paper and the Welsh color theory, color confrontation theory.
Her sister was at the reparation thing. I don't know if you knew that.
Is that right? No, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so her sister there. I met her sister.
Oh,
you know, I read the ISIS paper. Dr. Sharp. We talk a lot. We've attended meetings a lot. He conducted one that I attended at the Center Inner City Study, and you know, one guy told me he had trouble with The Hidden Color because it indicated that we created everything. And then I scratched my head and I wonder, didn't we? You know, that's the problem we have in the
I think a lot of people say that there's some overcompensation in some of that information that has later even been clarified by some of the scholars who initially made those claims, and especially about Kemet. Some of the claims about the Dogons. Some of that is just taken to a level beyond where it should be. It's too much speculation is included in the scholarship, and so I think some people make those claims about brother Tariq Nasir's work, but it's an excellent piece. It's very polemical. I think young people really find it interesting because a lot of that stuff they had no idea about, and I think is extremely valuable for them. Yes, sir.
Real knowledge. Mm-hmm. And that is what, you know, I like to see. Hopefully I can find some center or something where we could show movies or hour of that twice a week or something, you know, because again, keep an eye on what's going on this summer and the number of good children that we'll lose in the community. None of this is by accident. You already know this, you know, and it's shameful that we don't get out there and do what we should do. Talking about drop the ball. We don't have no ball in our hands to drop.
All right, brother. Thank you, Ronnie. I like that metaphor. Thank you, brother. All right. Brother Ronnie said, we haven't dropped the ball because we don't even have a ball. That's an interesting metaphor. Let's go to Brother Jay. Hey, Jay. How you doing?
Hey, you know, ironically, you stepped on me. I would have been the very next person on the line when you were talking to Matt. But, of course, you were pretty much making the point that I would have made.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, you know. And
I'm sorry, but it just kind of, you know.
No, we both agree on that kind of matter.
Yes, sir.
You know, ironically, I'm surprised what you missed was when Matt gave a breaking exclusive saying that he had intimate knowledge with an NSA agent who had revealed to him some type of Samara attitude about what they thought. I'm going like, wait a minute now. This is breaking something news. And I was hollering, Salim, you're missing it, brother.
No, I didn't want to take it to another direction. I heard that, and in fact, I said, you know, what else do you expect her to say? You know, I mean, that's exactly their job.
Which leads me to an unfortunate. Like he's you guys are my favorite. Now, I drill him on because I love you both. But the thing is that I come to the conclusion that it's just going to be too late because if clearly somebody who's normally can be elucidated as Matt is, and not to attack him, can be so blindsided for his love of the president or the desperation that the president does not look bad, then when that president is gone, as you have intimated, it's just going to be a really bad deal, because if this guy can get away with doing it, then we're bad. Sir. And another adjunct to that is Conyers. Conyers is just about not able to get elected because he messed up when it came to try to make sure he got all his voters.
But he got in, though. He got in.
Yeah, but if we have that kind of lackadaisical attitude, reparations be damned. You know, I mean, come on.
Yes,
and by the way, I can't find a hard copy of the Atlantic Monthly.
You can't find a copy?
I've gone for Orland Park to I haven't checked my underground book guy. Yeah, I'll do him. You said, but I went to up to Evanston, and now either that means a lot of white folks are interested, or they just made a few copies so to make it like.
Well, no, they expected this. They even churned out a few more copies because they knew it would be a hot item. It's the most popular. It's the most popular internet item ever in Atlantic history.
So we got books like Slavery by Another Name. We've got the Atlantic Monthly thing. We've got this book called Here Is Where. I think I can't remember the name of that one. I wish Randy was here. He'd probably know all the titles I'm thinking about.
He would.
We got Lopez's book about politics, which is we're in for some interesting information. The problem is everybody's too asleep watching the other game.
Yes, sir.
Salim, see you Monday.
Huh? Yeah. But you know, it's amazing though how many people are interested, and it's such a dense essay with a lot of information, man. Can't you get it online?
No, well, I'm purposely not trying to get it online so I can keep people like the Atlantic Monthly. You know, I want a hard copy so I can show it to friends. And
yes, sir. Whatever, I understand that. But I mean, for your own information, you haven't read it yet, though, right?
No, I haven't read it because I'm still trying to make it through the other books. But I want to. I've been listening to your inflection about it.
Yeah,
I listen to how it's like Matt. Matt has not seen the Snowden interview. And God, I love him, but he's already made his presuppositions become fact. So I guess I want to make sure I read it to make sure I'm confirmed about what I believe is true anyway. Please
check it out, man. It is a fascinating essay, man. It really is. It surprises you in ways. It's not a tedious read. He's a very entertaining writer, which is, I think, one of the reasons why it's so popular.
Let me get this right. He at first was sort of against reparations.
Yes,
and
he
doesn't necessarily go with Civil War times, but he goes with some period like in the 20th century to really make sure it's really brought close to home.
Yes, indeed. He takes a different he takes a different tack. He roots it in slavery and the depredations of slavery, but he doesn't stop there. He says and that's not where the injury stops. The injury is contemporary.
By the way, have you seen the movie Bell?
I haven't seen it, man. I heard so much about it.
It's like limited release, and it's too. And some people may have slight objections to it, but it's too bad that it's not played as widespread.
Why do people have objections to it? Why do you think?
I think, in one sense, because it takes place over there as opposed to over here. Number two is I kind of believe the fact that it focuses just more the genteel society of England. It doesn't show the depredations which you can see by face. Prima facie. So in that sense, that might be the reason why. But the sense is that Belle was in an ironic situation that even though both were illegitimately conceived when it comes to her and her sister, we don't discuss that part, is the fact that Belle was the Dido was her name, was the catalyst that sort of made the Lord Magistrate, the judge, make the changes that caused England to end slavery issues, at least by law, before the United States did. And what really brings out of the movie is this. People forget that the United States' sole really reason for having a revolution was kind of based on keeping slavery, North and South. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you get a chance to check that out, that's one worthy of attention to it.
I will definitely check it out, man. I've been hearing a lot about it, and I have intended to see it. I will definitely check it out.
Enough said to you, brother.
All right, Brother Jay. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. All right. Someone wants the name of, I guess, the Atlantic article. Ta-Nehisi Coates is his name. T-A-Nehisi Ta-Nehisi Coates, Coates. So you can Google that name and get his article and many other pieces that he's written. He's a kind of prolific writer. He blogs a lot for the Atlantic as well. But just put reparations in Google or Bing, and it'll bring up all of this stuff because it has really exploded into the national consciousness. Many people are talking about it. He's still appearing on a whole lot of different shows. I've seen some stuff in Canada and Australia. So it's exploding. Let's go back to the phones. Daryl, hey man, how you doing?
Hey, Salim, great show as always.
Thank you,
and
brother.
I just want to make a couple of points.
Okay.
The Coach, the Atlantic article, so very powerful, and
it is, man.
Some sections I couldn't even continue on, and to finally do my own research of my own family's history, and to start reading Mr. Coates' article, I just couldn't continue because it's so real.
Oh, it hit you close to home, huh?
It hits you close to home.
Mm-hmm.
It lets you know this present day what it probably was like for your great grandparents that struggled in this society. And I just want to thank Brother Maceo and Mansong. They called in, and Maceo mentioned he picked up the phone after hearing Dorothy Tillman's show about the Conyers bill, 98, and I wasn't aware that there was a bill out there. The Conyers co-sponsored again.
Yes.
On repairing the Tulsa people. And
right.
To hear that lady on Dorothy Tillman's show, and I understand what Maceo is talking about, and I will definitely get on the line and talk to my congressman and ask him, where are you standing? Do you have the courage? Do you have to get up in front of the House and advocate for support of that bill?
And isn't it amazing, man, that people would have to summon courage to advocate for something that seems so obvious? It really is amazing.
So obvious. Man. So obvious. And we go around, we vote. I've been voting for a lot of years, Democrat and sometimes Republican, sometimes, I think I know the issue that I want to vote for now, and that's reparations. That's the issue that, my local alderman, I want to know where you stand, my state rep.
All right.
I want to know where you stand.
Yes, sir.
On the position of reparations. And then this other thing, on Perry's show, and you had a caller, your first caller, and he was talking about the viciousness of some of our people calling in regards to the minimum wage proposal
yes.
to be increased.
Uh-huh.
And I think they called in with venom, and I couldn't understand why would you be against without knowing all the facts if you're not a business owner yourself against. And when you look at the face,
these weren't business owners who were calling. These are just people who were just anti minimum wage.
Black folk.
Okay.
And I know they visualized because some of their comments were directed to their own people. Mm-hmm. They would, if they had a bad experience at a McDonald's, or if they see somebody with their pants sagging, that it's that fear and hatred toward ourselves.
I know what you mean.
That we got to get over. We got to get over that.
Brother. Absolutely.
They call countless summertime that we got to stop hating ourselves, and I think that's from slavery.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, brother. We were socialized into self-abnegation.
We don't realize it. White folk don't do that. It's the face of poor, and the debate about the minimum wage has a black face on it.
Yes, sir.
And we need to not hate on our brothers and sisters if they have an opportunity to bargain for a competitive wage. Why hate them? That's what I wanted to say about that, Salim.
Well, that's a good comment. I appreciate that, brother.
All right,
Daryl. Thank you, man.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we tend to lack esteem for ourselves. We were socialized to have a lack of cultural esteem. It served those who exploited us well for us not to be able to find common cause with each other. The more we can be antagonistic toward each other, the better it was for the commerce of this country. And so our division was culturally encouraged by a social system. And it is still provoking us to, just listen sometimes to some of the animosity people have for others, seemingly, conjured from nowhere. Why do you have this animosity? What's the reason? We can find the answers if we look through history. West, what's up, man? How are you? Salam alaikum.
Man.
Walaikum salam.
Hey, man, look here, man. I've been trying to tell you and everybody else what Eric Snowden has let out, man, in Bradley Manning, okay? Mm-hmm. And it's deeper than that, man. It's deeper than that, bro. I sent you the information, and number one, Dwight was right by these apps, but see, it's all being controlled with the synthetic telepathy. Anything that's smart, Salim, a smartphone, a smart TV, okay, those are the devices that's really getting into people, man. And I hope I can elaborate.
So it's not just monitoring; they're also emitting other kinds of vibrations. You're saying?
Yes, sir. You're absolutely correct, man. They're emitting all kind of electromagnetic frequencies that's controlling each and every one of us on the planet, my brother. Okay, that's why I keep everybody wondering why all this fratricide going on and all these atrocities.
Yeah. How can we interrupt the frequency, man?
You must first find out about it. It's just a bunch of silent weapons. I mean, that's all it is. It's synthetic telepathy, where they are using these magnetic waves to get into people's brain waves. And see, our body is basically electrical frequency, Salim.
Yes.
And the information I have, I've been trying to get out to let people know, but the only way you control it is
what's that website again that you gave me, man? That I visited and I was quite impressed with it. What is it again? It was a YouTube. It was a YouTube channel, I think.
It's freedom from subversive harassment and surveillance. But also, if people really want to find out about these silent weapons, just go to stopthecrime.net, sir. It explains all this stuff that's going on with the Wi-Fi.
Stopthecrime.net.
Yes, sir. If anybody, all we got to do is just go to that website. It explains all this what they're doing, sir.
Okay.
I mean, this is what Snowden has revealed. It's the tip of the iceberg, man.
Yeah.
Especially with all this smart equipment, with the smart electric meters that people got on their house. I implore people to try to stay away from anything that got smart on it, because they're using. It's called synthetic telepathy, Salim.
Yes, sir.
Where they get into people's brain waves and they change their whole disposition, and they make. You know how it used to be where we always had women's intuition and all that. Remember that back in the day?
Yes.
Well, see, all that has been flipped, and people think they're getting the right intuition from the Most High, the inner essence, when they're being manipulated by. It's called transhumanism, Salim. Okay, it's a movie out with.
But Wes, man, you present a very rather dire scenario, brother. Where are our options in the world you're setting up here? What options do we have?
The option is we got to get back to our God conscious, where we know right from wrong. Black people always have been spiritual, where we know right from wrong.
But if we, if our intuition is being subverted by by sinister frequencies, then how can we know where right and wrong, where our intuition of right and wrong is coming from?
For instance, man, if me and you have a dialogue and I see you, and they got it now where the brother hate brother, man, we have to know we're being manipulated not to go that way. Okay, you say, well, oh man, they trying to make me hate my brother or something stupid.
I got you. So whenever we start getting angry at each other, realize that it's a foreign manipulation thing at work. If we think that, brother, we be in good shape.
Black people always, it's all got to do with the melanin and the high pineal gland.
Yes, sir.
Okay, if they can block you from your God conscience for you to do evil, to pick up a pistol or any kind of weapon against your brother, your sister. That's the whole main plan, man.
I got you, brother. Hey, man, I finally got where you coming from, Wes. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Peace and blessing, man.
All right.
Strong, my black people.
Yes, sir. Hey, I got that. Whenever, y'all, as Wes teaches us, whenever you feel anger toward a brother or sister and you get ready to act other than civilized with them, understand you are being manipulated by synthetic telepathy. Because by your own natural inclination, you can't possibly be angry at your brother and your sister. So by the very fact that you are getting angry, that very fact means you are being manipulated by synthetic telepathy. I like that philosophy. So whenever you feel it, stop, because it's not really you. Right? Okay. Let's go back to James. What's up, brother James? How you doing?
Without.
All right, all right.
Oh, real quick, brother. While we dance and pop our fingers to the Motown musical, I just want people to realize what Motown could have been in Detroit. The power they could have been. I mean, it was such a powerful art in the world. They could have controlled Detroit. Yes. Look at Detroit now. They running the blacks out, shutting it down.
Shutting it down, brother.
Yeah, shutting it down. You can pick up property for a little something from what I hear.
They trying to burn down all of the abandoned buildings. They're trying to, demolish them. They just put invested a lot of money into demolishing these, I think 50,000, buildings.
Right. But I don't just put that on Motown or all the black businesses we had here who didn't control the south side of Chicago. That goes back to reparation and white supremacists. When you have been denied institution, then you come along later on with a business or whatever. You don't have the nerve or the guts to go and be or nothing because you've been denied in the past. And the brother was right when he was saying that we don't have a ball. We've been denied a ball. Now, I love Brother Manson, but I want to tell Brother Manson, it is a white supremacy, white man world until it is seriously challenged or taken back from him. But right now, I don't see it being taken back. Matter of fact, Manson, do you hear any leader, any politician even mention white supremacy? They run from that. That's what we're fighting.
Yeah, they started mentioning it more in the wake of this piece that came out by Coates, because that was the point. That was the point of his essay.
Yeah, but well, that's good, because that is what we're fighting. And if it's not being mentioned, and that is what we're fighting, you have no chance of defeating it. And the Africans, and after they slaughter us, the Africans is next. And whatever black go over there and to tell the Africans that they're going to be slaughtered, that most of the Africans probably not going to believe you, because they get so much help, they think, from white supremacy. Imagine Father McKenzie over there giving out Hershey bars. Then I come along and say, hey, Father McKenzie is going to slaughter you. They look at me like I'm crazy.
But I mean, but James, man, if anybody should be wary of slaughter, it should be Africans, man. Zimbabwe, Congo.
Yeah, a few of them I would think are, but I don't think the masses are. Look at the Africans that come here to these universities, thinking these universities are helping them.
Well, they are helping them, because most of these Africans, when they come here, they are. They're the highest achieving students at these universities. They go back home and become officials and where they come from, or they land high paying technically oriented jobs in this country.
But see, they make them think they are helping them. I'm not blaming them for that. They make them think they're helping them. But the University of Chicago, all these big colleges, they are white supremacist institution. They are not there to teach you or show you the way of independence and self-determination. You come there, you're going to go back somewhere and look for a job or work for them.
I think that's true that they have white supremacist biases in much of the pedagogical structure of these institutions, but you can get out of them what you look for. If you know how to discern these kinds of cultural biases and you simply seek knowledge and you understand how to discern that, you can get a lot from these universities, brother. Yeah, and these Africans know how to do it. Many of them do. Some are bamboozled by the propaganda.
I haven't seen it, but I have seen people who have went to these white supremacy institutions
and
went back in
that's
their
where
country
Nkrumah went, brother.
And started a revolution.
Yeah, that's where Nkrumah went. Sekou
Touré.
Ho
Chi Minh too.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm saying, if they go back, Salim, what I'm saying, and just to get a job or make a little money themselves.
No. But see, but James, look, when Ho Chi Minh went back, there was an alternative. There was a socialist bloc. Now there's one bloc, the neoliberal bloc, the IMF bloc. And if they go back, they have to pay obeisance to that bloc because there ain't nothing else out there. The Russians are they're trying to do something with the Eurasian economic union that Putin is trying to put together and whatnot. But and the Chinese are trying to do a little bit of this and that. And of course, there's the BRICS nation, which are trying to do a little of this and that. But in terms of an economic alternative, the Africans who go back home, they have to pay obeisance to the IMF and them.
But you were right. That's why I said the Chinese is probably the African last hope for self-determination.
Yes.
But they can't play with the Chinese. They just can't use the Chinese to build up my city. Let me do business with you. They must petition the Chinese for self-determination and let the Chinese know that when the man is finished with us and the Africans, the Chinese will be next.
Okay,
they're going to get after them.
Yes, sir. All right, Brother James. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. All right, Brother James. Bernadette, how you doing?
Hey, Salim.
Hey, Bernadette.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for taking my call. I just came back from watching Belle with my great niece who's 17.
Hey.
We left with her intentions. Yes, she wanted to see A Million Ways to Kill Somebody, and we didn't get there.
A Million Ways to Die in the West, right?
There you go. Right.
Did you see it?
No, we didn't see that one because that started at 6, and we got there maybe 5 minutes after all the.
Okay, I wanted to hear your opinion on it because it's a highly anticipated. Because Seth MacFarlane is the director and the writer and the star of it.
Of the million what?
A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Oh, we didn't see it. We wound up seeing Belle because it started at 6:30 instead of.
So how did you like Belle?
Oh, it was marvelous.
All right.
It was wonderful. I loved it. Of course, as I told my great niece, I said, "Well, I saw 12 Years a Slave when it first came out the first week, and I just thought the cinematography was excellent.
Mm-hmm.
The casting was superb. It was just marvelous." I asked different people, "Oh, have you seen 12 Years a Slave?" Nope. She just laughed. I would be so excited telling people, "Oh, it was wonderful. My God, I had no idea how this, that, and the other could be portrayed the way it did. It seemed like it was
Bernadette, you're fading. Your voice is fading away.
Oh, you know why? Because I was running with my dog down the stairs. But the point I wanted to make was this. Belle was wonderful, and I think that her uncle's decision against the Zong boat, which threw off, I think, 170-some-odd slaves, claiming that they needed water and they didn't have a chance to get the water, but that was a lie because there were several ports where they could have gotten water. They threw the people off and they died, and they petitioned the insurance companies to pay for these bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And a young man, white man, who was against slavery and thought that was just a hideous and awful thing they did, and it was fraud, was fed information by Belle, who is the mulatto girl in there, and she's just perfect, beautiful, and wonderfully cast in this whole thing. Everybody.
Good.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had
you recommend it highly?
I recommend it highly. Of course, I recommended 12 Years a Slave highly, long before Golden Globes ever thought of them or anything.
All right, yeah.
So, but here's
you have a
the
good
thing.
eye then, apparently, Bernadette.
I guess. And I wanted to ask if you could elaborate just a little bit on this article you mentioned that was written by someone, because I just turned you on before running into my house.
Ta-Nehisi Coates in the Atlantic magazine. It's on the newsstand, but it's also online. It's Ta-Nehisi Coates. His last name is Coates. Just put Coates and reparation, and you'll get it all.
Reparations. As I sat watching Belle, I thought of reparations because the verdict that her uncle wound up presenting, and he went with the lower court saying this was fraud, and people were in an uproar that it was end slavery. I think his decision that was done in 1759, if I'm not mistaken, that helped usher in the anti-slavery law that came out of Britain in 1809.
All right.
Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to say was I was sitting there thinking reparations. Then I get home and I turn on my radio, and there you are with reparations.
See, that's the way it happens.
There's a movement.
That's right.
There's a movement.
It's in the ether.
It is. Yes. It's going to happen, I believe, in my lifetime, in your lifetime.
Hey, exactly. I wouldn't put it. People had no idea that we would have a black president or gay marriage, right?
Yeah.
Or legal marijuana, right?
Yeah. And the other thing is this. I initially, when people were talking about reparations, and I heard Dorothy Tillman talking about it really a lot several years ago, and it's come up again, I would hear people say, well, those who were in opposition to it, well, how can you determine who would get what and how? I said, it doesn't matter.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bernadette, check out this article, and all of those questions will be resolved. Let me go.
Yeah, well, as far as I'm concerned, there's no question.
All right.
I'm black, you black, we get money.
All right. I like that equation.
We get paid.
Thank you, sister. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Earl, hey, man.
Hey, Brother Salim, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, my brother?
Oh, man, I was enjoying that last little comment she made. I'm glad you get paid. I think that's the quote of the night. Excuse all the brilliant ideas that have been put forth. I think I like that one the best.
Too,
you can remember that one easy. Oh, man. How you been?
I've been well, brother. Well.
The reason I was prompted to call in, man, I think Brother Matty is getting too much flack here. I don't think that he was too far out of bounds to suggest that when you turn information over to a third party, what are their motivations for, and what are they going to do with the information, and should we be concerned about whether the information they're going to be released is going to do more detriment than good. And the other thing I was saying that, man, where's the tolerance, man, for different ideas? I mean, just because somebody has a different idea.
Wait a minute, Earl. You heard intolerance somewhere?
Well, I mean, yes, for the criticism of Matty Man.
Well, people just disagreed with him. That doesn't mean they're not tolerant of his ideas.
But I mean, you can disagree with somebody without then casting aspersions on it.
You heard someone cast aspersions?
Yeah, well, I mean, saying...
Well, what was the aspersion? What was the aspersion you heard?
Well, one of them was you took him to the woodshed. In other words, he was a little boy.
Sell said it was a metaphor he used that he took him to the woodshed.
I know it was a metaphor, but
that wasn't an aspersion on Matt.
Well, but I'm saying that.
See, the thing about Earl, I think people have tolerance. I don't think there's any evidence of a lack of tolerance if you disagree with somebody's opinion.
No, you can disagree when you say you disagree, but then that doesn't mean you have to say you took them to the woodshed. The same. If
you have an agreement with if you think that Snowden is a questionable character, I'm willing to listen to you as well. I don't have I don't foreclose different opinions.
But you still okay. Well, I'm still saying that.
I just want you to present a reason.
No. When you make the metaphor that says that you're taking someone to the woodshed.
I didn't make the metaphor, man. Somebody called and said that.
The caller did.
Yes, he
and
did.
Therefore, you're putting Matty Matt in a board position, and you
All
as an
right, man, all right. Now,
Okay,
so what's your point?
Okay, my point is that, I mean, I don't think that, I just say that. I don't think that Matty Matt should have been denigrated for
Come on,
his
Earl.
position.
Now, see, this is my problem with what you're saying right now. Somebody's going to listen to you, and they're going to think that Matt McGill was denigrated by somebody, and they weren't, and he wasn't, and you know he wasn't. But you have escalated the criticism with that kind of characterization. And I don't think that's a fair characterization, man. And I think you have more you have a much more discernible nature than that.
Well, on this particular case, I think that we have to agree to disagree, because
All right.
I think that
okay,
metaphor puts him in a position of a child as compared to you as a man, and not necessarily putting your ideas on the same
Have you ever
level, but there were differences.
Yeah, okay.
That's all.
All right.
So, okay, we just have to agree to disagree on that. So you have a good weekend.
So that's all you want to call and say that was your point?
Yeah. That's
Okay.
All
All right, Earl. All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, bro. All right. Let's go to Mazar. Hey, Mazar, how you doing?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
I'm well.
I just want to. That's good. I just want to thank you for the sacrifice of your personal time to investigate such a myriad of topics that you allow to be discussed on your program. And you're welcome, more than welcome. And
you got to turn your radio down, though, brother.
Okay. In terms of the question of Sterling and Magic Johnson, what seems to me that's getting lost is, it's such an opportune time for us to unify, and it's you discussed it briefly, this topic of unity, concerning this in particular, and all these brothers or whoever is calling about Magic Johnson, and they don't have all the facts. But the whole point is, what about the opportunity for us to unify and at a greater proportion? And my other comment is, and for you to also follow up if you have time, is on Snowden. I think we would be naive to think that he's the first person who had the opportunity to discuss American secrets. So I believe it's because of this Afro-American president, Barack Obama, that this is the time to just get that nuance in about his position. So,
all right, brother, I got you. I hear you. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, Mazar. That's an interesting. I think that kind of fits in with the idea of a lot of people that the knowledge about the NSA abuses was out there before the Obama administration, but people chose to allow it to come out during the Obama administration so they can further embarrass him. I don't think that's a credible reading of the situation. Obama's the president, and the president has a job description. Doesn't matter who it is. He does what's necessary to keep this country safe as they see it. The reason why they're constitutional countervailance is because people get tunnel vision. The NSA has a job to be a secretive agency, and that's its job. But there are other agencies' job to watch out for those kinds of excesses of secrecy. That's the way it works. Kay, good evening. You're the last caller.
Oh, wow. I'll talk quick.
You got to.
A lot of people, they don't mention the fact that Sterling's son was murdered. You just don't hear it on the mainstream media.
Sterling's son? I didn't know that either.
Dick Gregory and Paul Mooney talked about it on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear about that.
His son was murdered how?
I don't remember, but my point is that if he was recently murdered, do you think that was the deciding factor to make sure that his wife said, no, you're going to give up this team? I wonder if anyone thought about that.
Was he murdered recently after all of this controversy?
Yes, after all.
I don't know about that, baby. I haven't heard. I think that would have been.
Just type in.
Well, I'll check it out. I appreciate that information, Kay. I will check it out. Thank you, my dear.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Unfortunately, we don't have time for the other callers. As